I'm Mark Dolan. Welcome to GBN America. Now, will the race for the White House in November be won on the economy? We'll debate that in just a moment with a top economic historian. But first, what about free speech in America and around the world? Let's get the views of top comedian, podcaster, and broadcaster Tim Young. Tim, good to see you again. Can I ask you about the Brazilian cancellation of X? Why have they done it, and what are the implications?
Well, this is what totalitarian or tyrants want to do. This regime doesn't want people having free speech. They don't want them being able to combat anything that they may put out. You know, a lot of times these governments that want to restrict free speech, and I think it's been pretty consistent throughout history, when they want to restrict free speech, they're the ones putting out the disinformation that they claim is out in the ether.
No great surprise that it is a left-wing government that have done this in Brazil. Is this part of a wider theme?
It really seems that way, and it's kind of scary. There are a lot of free speech laws popping up, and there are a lot of these can't say XYZ about certain groups of people coming up now around the world, and that's the beginning of the slippery slope and of the end of free speech in many areas. It should scare everyone. And it seems like even in America here, we've got Kamala Harris, who at one point said she wants to remove X from the internet as well. So it's really scary, to be honest with you. It's one of those things where, as a pundit like myself, like my career, my future, who knows where I end up if we start limiting free speech around the globe? Probably a gulag.
Most definitely. Or GB News America. But listen, Tim, do you think that X have a case to answer in terms of the amount of misinformation, hate, or abuse that's on the platform?
No, I don't think so. You know, when you want free speech, it needs to be absolute. You let whatever goes out go out. And X has done an excellent job. Weird sounding pun there. Of allowing the community to take care of itself. Community Notes is a great system that fact checks things and is able to combat the lies that are on the platform.
Do you fear for the long-term future of X, whether it's the cancellation by nation states like Brazil, or indeed the starving of advertising cash?
No, I don't at all. I think Elon Musk is a genius. I think he'll figure it out. I think it's been doing well on its own. I can tell you my personal rev share has been okay there. No one seems to be hurting on X, and X doesn't seem to be hurting in general. Also, I believe that advertisers realize that, especially here in America and most countries, there is a whole 50% or more of countries that are conservative and lean right and want to be on platforms like X. And there's a large audience that they aren't reaching through typical means.
Most definitely. Do you think other countries will follow Brazil's lead in closing down X?
That's the scary part of this whole thing is there are a lot of countries. You know, I'm afraid to actually travel in parts of Europe. I know that sounds kind of strange coming from an American, but I worry about Germany, who I regularly get notices from that I may have violated German law. Someone in Germany has reported me. I'm not sure who in German is reading my stuff. But if I cross the border into Germany right now as someone who has criticized their government, will something happen to me? And I fear that they are probably one of those countries that would ban X.
Most definitely. But you think that Elon Musk will stand firm? I guess he's got the deep pockets to bankroll X indefinitely. Do you think he will?
Yeah, I do. I think he realizes what his mission is now. And I think it is him believing in free speech and that he is one of the pillars holding up free speech around the world. The same leftists who bought Teslas, we can all thank for all the money that he's made and to keep.
Why is Elon Musk so hated in the United States, at least by a portion of the population?
You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. Really, when you look at it, the guy hasn't done anything wrong. He's basically kept our space program afloat. He's done all the work of getting us to space that NASA has done. He's provided free internet and quality internet for lots of areas around the world. He's helped the environment. He's now keeping free speech open. He's just not saying the things that the left wants him to say. And that's the greatest sin that you could commit, apparently in America, is not carrying the water for the left. And a lot of their issues, like trying to allow children to change their genders. That's something that he has very, very much so stood up for. You know, he has no problems with people who are trans and trans rights, but he doesn't want children to be making decisions like that, or the state to take children away from families when a child says that they identify as something that their parents may not agree with. So seems to be the cardinal sin that Elon Musk has committed.
And what's your reaction to the arrest in France of the founder of Telegram, which is a private messaging platform?
It's scary. It is showing again this totalitarian and tyrannical regime that seems to be coming up around the world. People don't want people speaking freely. The governments don't want people speaking freely, and it's a really scary place to be. You know, it is where does this go? How does this end? I mean, it really seems like, again, we've been on this slippery slope for a long time of the loss of free speech. What is the ending point? When do people go, hey, everyone can say what they want to say? And I don't know what leads to that point or how we get there.
The British Observer newspaper journalist Sonia Soda has been drawing attention to the issue of free speech and freedom of expression at universities. To what extent is higher education a breeding ground for this problem?
I mean, they're pretty much the cause of it. When you take a look at our oldest and most revered, or what should be most revered institutions in America, like Harvard and Yale, they are absolutely leftist platforms that teach kids that anyone who says something you don't agree with should not have any platform or freedom for that matter. You know, I spoke at Yale about a year ago. I spoke to their political union, and their leftist groups that were part of that union to this day write op-eds and scream about my speech there because I offended some kid that identified as something that I had no idea what it was. I wasn't even advised of. And apparently that was a bigger deal than my talk on free speech.
Indeed. Freedom of speech has become a far-right thing, along with the countryside, ironing, knitting, you name it, mathematics, merit, being good at your job. The world's gone mad. What do you think the trajectory of this is culturally? Where are we going to go? Are we going to have more censorship going forward or less?
I think it's more until there's some sort of critical event where things shift. And hopefully we start getting more leaders back in office like Trump. I just truly fear that, again, how does this end? When does this end? You know, our country and most countries have gotten more liberal and progressive, if they want to call themselves that, through the years. I don't know what the ending point is, and that's what's really scary at this point.
Could market forces save free speech and save Western values and defeat wokery, given the fact that, you know, the #1 talk show on the planet now is a podcast hosted by Joe Rogan? The guy makes millions. Enormous numbers of people tune into his show every week. So is that how we defeat woke? And is that how we sort of maintain free speech, is with just enormous numbers for certain platforms that believe in free speech?
One would think, and I think we're seeing that shift at Disney with the new Deadpool Wolverine movie being absolutely not woke at all. When a lot of their productions have leaned completely to the left. I think that's, you know, when you lose $1 billion as a company or more, which Disney has, I think they're starting to wake up to things. So hopefully that's one way that things shift. Obviously, Joe Rogan is another. When you take a look at these podcasts and the rise of people who, like, really, Joe Rogan, I wouldn't even call him right wing. I think he's just someone with common sense. No. Same with Elon Musk. They call him extreme right. He's just someone with common sense who's asking normal questions.
Most definitely. And I guess there are some other chinks of light, aren't there? For example, Harley Davidson and Jack Daniels, two brands that have recently very publicly ditched their DEI policies.
Yeah, I think people are getting fed up with it. And luckily there are folks on our side. You know, the left has been very, very good about influencing businesses and saying, you know, we're going to protest you and whatnot and boycott you, and getting businesses to behave in the manner that they want them to. Finally, the right is starting to do it, and it's really freaking out businesses. And it's not just, you know, Jack Daniels is one piece of it. It's the overarching company, Brown-Forman, that has all sorts of other great juice. If you guys saw the Kingsman, the Statesman brand from Old Forester is part of that.
Tim Young, broadcaster, comedian and author, always a treat to have you on the show. And let me tell you, you'll never be cancelled or censored, not on my watch.
Thanks for having me.